It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Biajilu Ugu. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
I love the green on you. Is it a full dress?
You.
Looks like a full...
It's a jumpsuit.
Jumpsuit with the jacket. Love it. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. So my second book, From Freak Out to Chill Out.
Second book.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my sister is not playing. Is that 1 year?
I mentioned it last week.
I didn't hear. I didn't watch.
Sorry, you were not on the
Congratulations.
show. Yeah, thank you.
Virginia doesn't play.
See, I've been a teacher for the longest time, and I've developed over 10 courses.
Yeah.
So if I decide to convert all my courses into books, I'll be having like 10 books right now. So I'm just trying to see how I can, because many people are not able to book for the courses. The courses are quite pricey. So if I can convert them to books, you can buy the book one-off and then you read for the rest of your life and anyhow you want it.
That's dashing us your knowledge for
but we have to see, the knowledge is not for me.
It's for you to share.
I will not gain anything, right?
Yes.
I'm supposed to share with the world.
Of course.
The way we all have our gifts, we share with the world. That's what it's about. So it's generating quite a number of buzz. People are asking for it. Right now, I'm not printing. I'm not ready to print. It's on Lulu. Lulu is almost like Amazon. You can get it any part of the world in 7 to 14 days. It's delivered to your doorstep. You have your physical book. They're in charge of the printing and all of that. I want to go through that route because of quality. I'm very particular on quality, right? You know, as you grow now, you just do things anyhow. Yeah, so that's how I'm going to be channeling my book. So you can get it on Lulu. Just go, come to my page, my link tree. You see how you can get the link and get the book.
There's a lady that bought your other book and she had fantastic review. I told her to send it to you directly.
Oh,
she did.
I need the reviews.
I told her she was like, Morel, that book helped me with my daughter. I was having some issues. And I said, you know what, send her a DM so that she can get the reviews.
Exactly.
I mean, well done. So we're looking forward to this one.
We'll know that at least you're trying.
You're helping somebody. Hello, Mariam Nonge. How are you?
I'm fine. I was just thinking about, the weddings that have been happening in our country recently and just how fabulous they are and how Nigerians are representing us, fashion-wise. We may just see it as just, it's just weddings, but especially with the one that Yabo just daughter, and I just see the beginning of how Africa is opening up, we're now getting that merge, that East and West merge. I just think it's such an important time in history. It may be done through music and fashion and weddings like this, but I feel like it's really impactful. So I'm looking forward to, what this may open up for us in Nigeria. Businesses, relationships, it makes easier communication and, travel and movement like that. I'm so excited for Nigeria.
I didn't buy tickets. I just
Tanzania. There's another wedding.
Tanzania. All road leads to Tanzania. 24th of March.
What's going on?
I'm loving it.
It's so interesting.
We never so much Nigeria
because the story has always been Nigeria, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa. I like that we're moving across. Yes, let's go.
How you doing, Ramatu?
I'm doing well. So we're just still doing our production. I brought in one printer that prints manufacturing and expiry date, and it's so wonderful. And with that, again, we're still producing our oil, our acha, and our spices. And that's all we're doing.
Nigerian businesswoman, we like that. So, well done. Good job.
Thank you.
For me, I'm fine. There was something you said that triggered something in my mind. I can't even remember again. Lost it.
Is that about the weddings?
No,
she talked about weddings, wasn't
kids.
Okay.
So, so far I'm good. I'm fine. Nothing major happening. Just planning. This weekend I have quite a number of
You're
activities.
just shining and glowing and living.
That's major. That's major enough.
I'm trying. I think what is making me shine and glow is when you're able to look away from the rough issues, the dramas, and you stay above it. Like, it's there. The drama is there. You hear a beat. It's somewhere. And you're like, you know what? It's not me. It's not affecting me. Honestly, I'm like, from the deepest part of my heart, I'm above it. So I'm just happy.
You glow.
Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, look at the front pages of papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So yeah, I forgot to mention that Sam Mashaye sent us his book.
Okay.
Juju Eyes. I started reading it. Really interesting book. And I'm going to give it to the ladies. He hopefully comes next week and we can talk about it. But it's a really very good book for us to discuss. Let's start with The Nation. So attackers of communities are foreigners, says Governor. For Francis's last moment, says Vatican. Custom rakes in 1.7 trillion naira in Q1. NPAN Lord's First Lady's humanitarian interventions. Kaduna Governor revokes land houses sold by El Rufai. IMF cuts global growth forecast over Trump tariffs. Airlifting of 53,000 Nigerian pilgrims to Saudi begins May 9th. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Let me start with the major headline. And this is armed men storm Benue villages in hundreds. So armed men who have been attacking Benue communities in the last 2 months are foreigners. This is according to the governor. He said that 73 bodies were recovered in the latest round of attacks by the insurgents. They swarmed Ukom, Logo, and Katsina Ala local government areas. He says that the attackers made their way into the communities in their hundreds on motorbikes, armed with AK-47, AK-49, and machetes. He said that also that they believe that they are foreigners based on, eyewitness account. They said that they were speaking Hausa, but it's not the regular Hausa that we speak here in Nigeria. They are alleging or, that they may be Malians, but they are not. They just seem not Nigerian. They said that they operate from cells in Nasarawa and Nigeria-Cameroon border. That's near Kwande local government area. They're exploiting like porous borders that we have, all across. They come in, they kill, they maim, they push people away, and they are also thinking that this has a lot to do with land grabbing. They're looking for ways to take over these communities and settle there. Also, we had the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. He visited Benue State. He was there with the Senate Committee Chairman of Intelligence Security. Of course, the usual attacks, which is the commiserated with the people. They said these are attacks, killings. It's an act of evil, and the president is with us and things like that. What I've heard really from what people have said about the visit of the NSA to Benue State is that they were not very happy with it. There was just the regular rhetoric, even with the governor. It's like they're just complaining like we're complaining. Nobody's saying this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do now, this is what we have done so far, this is how much we've investigated, this is how close we are to a solution. It just seems like everybody is sitting there and lamenting, and that is worrisome. It's really, I said I'll keep taking these stories until maybe something clicks somewhere. It makes no sense that a country as powerful as Nigeria is, you have these insurgents just coming in as they want, go in and then leave. The thing is, they come break all this havoc and just leave, and nobody knows who they are, where they are, and where they've gone.
And to shock you, they've taken over some communities.
Yes, they have.
Taken over some communities.
Okay, another story in the nation.
So the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, they said May 9th, begin airlifting of over 53,000 pilgrims to Saudi Arabia for this year's pilgrimage. This was made known yesterday when NACON officials briefed Vice President Kashim Shettima at the State House in Abuja. They said the figure was slightly more compared to last year's delegation of 51,447 pilgrims. In 2023, they said Nigeria went to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with the full contingent of 95,000 pilgrims, representing the total number of slots allocated to the country. That was the first time in nearly a decade that they would, try to fill up the slots that was given to them by Saudi Arabia. So the commissioner in charge of operations, inspectorate and licensing, Prince Anofi Elegushi, said the arrangements have been finalized for the smooth transportation of pilgrims to the Holy Land. And according to the statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha, he said that the Commission will airlift more than 40,000 pilgrims from the states and an additional 13,000 through licensed tour operators. They said they've picked May 9th as their first flight to Saudi Arabia through the Medina. Then they intend to finish the airlift by May 24th and begin the return journey by June 13, concluding by July 2nd. It says that they are making comprehensive logistic plans to be able to make sure that everything is seamless going forward. So 51,000 something or 53,000 something going to...
So low.
Congratulations to Nigerians.
Okay, so I have the Kaduna governor story as in evokes lands and all. They said institutional houses and plots of land sold in Kaduna State by the administration of former Governor Nasir El-Rufai have been revoked by the state government. These properties are around Al-Huda College, Queen Amina, Zaria, and Kaduna Government Commercial College. They said that the SSG, that's Dr. Abdul Qadir Muazu, said this decision was taken for overriding public interest and for the common good. He also said that steps are being taken to refund amounts paid in respect of the sold houses. They also they said that Ubasani noted that effective learning can best take place in a conducive atmosphere, hence the reason why they are revoking some of these things. Then he said the governor has been expanding access to education in the last 2 years, and that he has built new primary and secondary schools as well as blocks of classrooms since he became the governor of the state. And they said so far he has built over 2,336 new classrooms, renovated more than 707, and then provided 3,704 and 30,742 furniture for teachers and pupils.
Oh. Okay, great for him. So the chairman of the leadership newspaper, Mrs. Zainab Unda Isaiah, had visited the First Lady yesterday. She paid a courtesy visit to the State House to see the First Lady, referring to her as Mother of the Nation. She said that she acknowledged all the amazing humanitarian work the First Lady has been doing. According to her, she says that she recognizes the humanitarian efforts, describing her as a mother of the nation, Her Excellency's tireless work, and believe it is both timely and necessary to publicly express their gratitude for her compassion and impactful initiatives across Nigeria. The visit also included members of the leadership team. So I think we too can plan a courtesy visit to go and see the First Lady. It is important for us.
So we need to.
Yes. Okay, The Punch. Killings. Inspector General deploys special anti-bandit squads nationwide. 18 Africans among cardinals to elect new pope. Nigeria's rebased inflation to hit 37% in 2026, says IMF. 8 banks spent 4.6 trillion on salaries and operations. That's a lot of money. Stray bullets kill 16-year-old at Lagos anti-cultism walk. Senate lambasts Bakari over rubber stamp remark. Flight disruptions likely over NIMET workers' strike. And emergency rule for Bara may shift ground after Tinubu's meeting with Tinubu in the UK. Okay.
Yeah, so I have this sad story. They said on Monday, a 16-year-old boy identified simply as Mustafa was killed by a stray bullet during a suspected cult clash in Uyimbo area of Ebutameta in Lagos State. They said that they had a peace walk organized by some youths to address the rising cult-related violence in the community. And when the walk was just about to be concluded, an argument broke out amongst them. According to a resident, who spoke on, he said that the argument degenerated and the suspected cultist pulled out a firearm and shot indiscriminately, leading to Mustafa getting hit by the stray bullets. He said Mustafa was not affiliated to any cult. He just came out. You know how you say youths come out, or let's go for a walk, let's sensitize people and talk about it. That's how he just came out. Unfortunately, he was shot. There was also one of the organizers of the event also that was shot. So by the time that happened, they had to disperse. Everybody had to go. They tried to rush Mustafa to the hospital. Unfortunately, he died on the way before getting to the hospital. This is a 16-year-old. I'm sure his parents would have been saying, why did he go? He's not even a cultist. He just wants to do a walk. Why do we do this? It's so sad.
Painful. Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company, not just in Nigeria, but throughout continental Africa, to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
My 20 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
Okay, that's all we can take. Eje, can you close the show for that long?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by David.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch.
Okay, so I have the story of the 8 banks that spent 4.6 trillion. They said the total expenses of 8 Nigerian banks rose to 4.61 trillion in 2024. And this was driven by increases in both personal and operating costs. They said the data reveals a 107.8% rise from 2.2 trillion in 2023. They said the growing financial pressure on the bank, this highlighting the growing financial pressure on the banking sector. They mentioned that first holdco, they said the total of 568.3 billion in operating expenses from 341.5 billion, reflecting a 66.4% increase year on year. Then their personal expenses for the group stood at 308.5 billion. That's a significant surge from 175.9 billion, a growth of 75.3%. They also talked of Fidelity Bank. They say its own operating expenses increased to 242.7 from 135.3, representing a 79.3% rise. Personal expenses rose to 73.5 billion compared to 52.6 billion, reflecting a 39.6% increase. They also mentioned that of UBA, Access, and all those banks. But they said combined, that's total, combined operating expenses of 10 Nigerian banks rose by 42.51% to 3.23 in 2023 compared to 2.26 in the previous year. So you can see, but they are making money now. See, every day, whenever I wake up in the morning, I'll see debit alert, card maintenance fee, this, that. The SMS rates have increased.
They're always declaring profits.
Right.
I have.
Okay, I was doing.
Yes. So a total of 18 Africans are among the 135 cardinals eligible to elect the next pope. There are 252 cardinals. Only 135 cardinals have voting status and are eligible to vote for the next pope when the conclave begins. They said Europe has the highest number with 53 cardinals. Asia is next with 23, and then followed by Africa with 18 voting members of the College of Cardinals, and so on and so forth.
Why do you put Africa as a country? As a, like... Okay.
Yeah, no, they're continents.
They're
Europe,
continents.
Africa, Asia.
Sharp. Somebody has just
So
died.
they made a whole list of those from
They did break down Africa zone.
That's what I have here. So it's the whole breakdown of just the African cardinals. But they say that all the cardinals under the age of 80 can take part in the secret ballots to be held in the conclave. They need a majority of at least 2/3 plus 1 to elect the new pope. So the voting can take several rounds spread over numerous days. So it can take very long. And then eventually
Nigerians and Africans, do you have an idea? If
do you know, I've looked, I didn't notice if we see.
So
I didn't
no,
notice
no,
yes, we do. We have Peter Okpaleke is Nigeria. Yes,
just one out of the 18.
Yeah, but the other African countries.
Look through the list, they may have some. Nigerians.
Okay, so I have the story of the Senate responding to the serving pastor or the serving general overseer of the Global Community Citadel Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare, over his recent scathing remarks about the 10th National Assembly being rubber stamp, said he has crossed the line. The Senate's reaction was contained in a statement by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Yemi Adaramodu. Bakare, who contested the APC presidential ticket against Tinubu in 2022, had during his Easter State of the Nation broadcast accused the president of reducing the 10th Assembly to a haven for legislative rascality and likening it to the 48th member of the cabinet, of his cabinet. Of course, they responded. He described Bakare's comments as sweeping, disparaging, and politically motivated. We view his corrosive criticisms of the National Assembly as a biased and political ecumenical homily. I'm trying to figure out what that means, but pretty much he responded to the pastor concerning his criticism of the president. Okay, we're moving on now to Vanguard. So, the Niger state government imposes curfew, 11 killed in fresh Benue attacks. Protesters urged Tinubu to reinstate Fubara. World leaders expected as Vatican fixes Saturday for Pope Francis's burial. Don't take out your frustrations on us, Senate replies Bakare. Get to that story. Supremacy battle, I have no rift with Oni of Ife, says Alaafin. And yeah, which story are we taking? In Vanguard, anybody?
I have a sad story inside.
Okay.
So they said armed men suspected to be cultists on Easter Sunday invaded Swali community, Yenegua local government area of Bayelsa State, killing 4 persons. Said the hooded men armed with AK-47 rifles, according to the report, stormed the populated area in a Toyota Hilux at midnight. They have come in, they shot sporadically at residents celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ, forcing the residents to flee into different directions. They said 4 persons were confirmed dead, while several others were, injured. And they said residents had to speak on condition of anonymity. He said they've never been that type of attack since he started living there like 10 years ago. That was shocking to him. And it was not just armed robbery. It was not armed robbery attack. They didn't come in to steal anything. They just shot their victims and then disappeared. So they said, however, the area is known to be a den for 2 rival cult groups. They've always had those people who have supremacy battle from time to time. And a member of the House of Assembly representing Yenegua constituency, Chief Egba, condemned the attack. He had to visit the community and he said this was just a tragic loss of lives and it was barbaric. So he said, after expressing his deepest condolences to the entire Swali community, he said that they have to do something about this. The government needs to begin to mount police posts at strategic locations in order to avert future attacks. Then they are going to have meetings, make sure that people report when they suspect anything that's happening in the area. This is just the painful thing. We still have, pockets of cult issues that happen in different locations, and I'm wondering, do we have enough people in the area to report the matter to the police? Do we have are the police paying attention to those cultist issues, or they are waiting till somebody comes to report somebody's name? We're supposed to be doing, checks from time to time. It's just so painful.
Okay, another story in Vanguard.
Yes,
anybody?
I do. Protesters urged the president to reinstate Fubara. So they said hundreds of protesters in Rivers State, including youths, men and women, have called on the president to recall the suspended governor of the state, Also, the elders, the River State elders, have written a letter to the president condemning the declaration of a state of emergency of the state, the suspension of the governor, his deputy, as well as the State House of Assembly members. So this protest happened, and the letter is just saying that they believe that the declaring a state of emergency for River State was unconstitutional, and they empowered those who, those who were in the wrong, really. And so they would like for the president to look into this and see how they can reinstate this and, revert this state of emergency that's been declared in River State.
Okay, I was going to take the story of the Alaafin. So, the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Akim Owode, on Tuesday admonished members of the public to ignore the malicious online publication that he is in a royal supremacy battle with the Oni of Ife or with any other monarch. He made this clarification in a statement issued by the Director of Media and Publicity, Bode Jaye, in Ibadan. Owode, in the statement, described the anchor of the viral video as a pathological liar, urging the people to disregard the malicious video and the fabricated anchor on YouTube. He says that the attention of the monarch has been drawn to this online medium, Awikonko TV. In the malicious video, the anchor narrated how Obawade ordered his men to beat up to Paul, the father of the monarch of a village in the United States of America, and later handed him over to the police. He said that was false. That was what he was saying, it was false. Okay. And it was maliciously done. Oh. Okay, our final paper. Let's see how many minutes we have. A few more minutes. The Nigeria. You have a story?
No, I've taken my story. Yeah.
The Nigerian Tribune. Let's find a story we've not taken. IMF projects 3% economic growth for Nigeria. 43,000 Nigerians to perform 2025 Hajj from states and armed forces. Attacks on Plateau communities direct assault on humanity and rule of law, says NBA. NSA in Benue says attacks tragic and evil. I am not in supremacy battle. We took that story. Government attack Kwara, communities kill 6. 35 years after, Niam reminisces on Oka coup. Which story? Anybody? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we're taking most of the stories.
Quick one. More like good news. So the Lagos State government on Tuesday revealed that over 2 million passengers have been transported on the Blue Rail line since its launch in September 2023, while state-run buses have moved over 60 million passengers since May 2019. So the Commissioner for Transportation, Mr. Oluwaseun Osiyemi, was the one who said this yesterday during the year 2025 ministerial press briefing held in Alausa, Lagos. And it was more like an anniversary of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second term, showcasing the major strides he has made under this administration. And they highlighted the Lagos State Transport Policy, which was launched in May 2024. They said it's now in implementation phase. They are focusing on inclusivity, safety, affordability, and sustainability. They talked about the rail developments. He said that phase 1 of the Blue Line, that's Marina to Mile 2, has served over 2 million passengers, with phase 2, Mile 2 to Okokomaiko, in progress. They are adding that phase 1 of the Red Line, Agbado to Oyingbo, is now operational, with 8 stations and additional rolling stocks procured, while phase 2, which is Oyingbo to link Blue Line at National Theatre, is still in progress. So they said the state-owned bus operations have revealed that over 60 million commuters have been served since 2019, with daily ridership exceeding 40,000, and that plans are on to get new buses, quality buses, and many things are under construction. This is a good one for Lagos State. When we go around, we see the, the achievements of Lagos. They also talked about water transport. They said 15 locally built omnibus ferries have been launched and are already in operation, with the Ijegun Egba terminal, which is now open, among other things. So congratulations to Lagos State. We are seeing what they are doing.
All right, let's go on a short break now. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
Get ready to step into the heartbeat of your city like never before. Welcome to Events Diary, where every moment is a celebration. From the electric energy of Owambe extravaganza, to the richness of our culture, to the sophistication of corporate gatherings, Events Diary is your VIP pass to the hottest gatherings in Nigeria. And guess what? I'll be your guide, your style icon. Each week, join me as I transform from traditional chic to corporate sleek. Whether it's a birthday bash or a high-profile gala, you won't just see it, you'll feel like you're right there with me. Aww. From meetings to evening soirees, I'll be there. Or to the trendiest street festivals or to music concerts, Events Diary has something for everyone. So join me as we explore the vibrant tapestry of Nigerian scene, one event at a time.
Brand new studio, brand new set, a new face, but still your favorite breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria.
It's a fresh new energy, new vibe. You smell that?
Now that's the smell of tasty, tantalizing food from our various chefs.
And when it comes to sports updates with insightful analysis, the place you want to be is Wake Up Nigeria.
That's right. Every second there's a fresh occurrence, and every minute there's a story to tell. Keep abreast of happening locally and internationally via the news updates of Wake Up Nigeria.
It's light camera fashion, where we strut, slay, and sashay, and keep you updated with all the latest fashion trends.
Level up your morning.
Watch Wake Up Nigeria, where every morning begins with a spark.
Hey, my people, I greet you plenty.
My name na Uwi Balogun.
My name na Damilola Banire. My name na Moyo Faraway Ahmed. If you also call me Moyo, listen. And this na Abigail. And I dare on top your view pigeon. I'm going to bring you bass, boost.
I don't get person will be single mother before. He carry another man show, say, now my husband be this.
Now waiting you want.
After that day, the man
you go see him again.
If you snooze, you lose. If you miss this show, you miss out. On top this.
Thanks for staying with us. So in a desperate bid to curb insecurity in Niger State, Governor Umar Bago has directed security operatives to arrest, barb the hair for individuals who have dreadlocks in the state. Now, this extracted statement has reawakened the discussion of identity and appearance profiling, and the whole of social media obviously is going on and on about the governor's directive. But we'd like to hear your thoughts on it, because the government of Niger State have also come out to give a bit of context to what happened or what caused the governor to make that sort of a directive. However, we'd like to hear your views on this conversation. You can call us on 020-163-52013, 090-241-63440. You can also send us messages on X and also on YouTube. Will be happy to read your thoughts. All right, so to give it a bit of context, let me just read the first paragraph of the message from the government of Niger State. So according to, I think this was written by the media. Let me see who addressed this. I'm trying to get the name of the person. Once I get the name, I'll send it back to you. But what I have here is, for quite some time now, Mina has been plagued by thuggery and lawlessness. Incidents involving criminal groups have become an all too frequent part of life in the state, making the issue a persistent and growing concern. One of such groups is the Oya cult. The group can mostly be identified by symbols like dreadlocks, bleached skin, and forehead markings.
Case dismissed.
Now, so it was in that context that the governor made those comments. So now let's watch the governor's comments.
To rascality in Mina. Anybody that you find with barber or dreadlock arrest him, barb his hair, and fine him. Nobody should carry any kind of health record again inside MENA. I have given you marching order, the security agencies. Anybody you find with a weapon, deal with him as an armed robber.
So that is the context. Now, we've said that drastic measures or drastic issues demand drastic, but what are your thoughts on this? Because when that video went viral, let's start from when the video went viral, how it was extracted and how it was received by Nigerians. Who would like to go first?
Okay, so context is king. That's a quote, that's a saying, and that is to show that, you know, it's very important to understand the surrounding circumstances, you know, or background information about anything. Of course, without the context that you've just read to us, when we saw that, I'm sorry, Governor of Niger State, the first thing I thought, I said, Oga, see you with your full bearded gang. You, not you. Do you understand? For me, I just thought, that look already, you are part of them now, the fashionable dreadlock guys and things like that. But I can't even say much any further what I had thought initially, because this context just clears everything. Because what I now hear the governor saying is that we have picked this particular, we have profiled these people particularly because of the way that they look, most of them. There's a cult that has been causing a lot of issues for us in Niger State. Lawlessness, and we know that you can identify them by the dreadlocks that they wear, the fact that they bleach their skin, and some markings. And I mean, it just makes sense that he says when he's we don't know what he's not bleaching, but he doesn't have. But he's not bleaching. He doesn't have dread. He doesn't have dreadlocks, and he did not say anything about beard. He just said dreadlocks. If you see people with dreadlocks, and for him, it's like that is profile. They'll profile you, and then a word to the wise. For those of you that are not part of this cult, this is something that we're using to profile them. Don't be part of them. Don't fall into. Be careful so that you're not mistaken for one of these cult members, and then you end up in big trouble. Because once we see you with dreadlocks, before we start asking questions, we'll assume you're part of this. Yes, we'll assume you're part of this or your cult that's been causing all sorts of problems for us.
So let me throw a spanner in that wheel, because now doesn't that infringe on the rights of a young man who wants to have dreadlocks? So the Niger State is saying, I have profiled these people like this. If you see them, arrest them and shave off. But the young kid who is in university and just says, I want to block my hair. How does that then affect that person?
It actually does infringe of the human rights of the people, right? And in the first instance, when I saw the video, the first thing that came to my mind is, which generation is this man living in? We have children these days who want to lock their hair, paint, men, boys, paint their nails, you know, dress a certain way, more feminine. In fact, when you go for events these days, you can't even tell who's a woman and who's a man. The men are wearing the silks. I'm not joking. They are wearing the silks. They are wearing the floral. They are looking all girly.
Eyebrows are shaped.
Yes, shaped. And some people wear lashes. And these people I know personally. Yes, see. These people I know personally, they are not even gay. It's just an expression. Yes. They're just expressing. They want to express in that way. All these artistic people, they're full everywhere. I don't know how MENA is. I haven't been to the States. I don't know how enlightened they are. I don't know how entertaining and how much of entertainment they have
from the Niger State.
I don't know how
they're very close to Abuja.
So they will have people in those places who express themselves that way. So I felt like this governor is not living in recent times. But now looking at the context of we have identified these people, these Oya cult people, this is what we know them for, this is what we know them for. And I understand that it will infringe on the rights of every other citizen there who finally catches himself doing one of those things. But we have always said that we must tailor our solutions to our people.
Our peculiarities, yes.
Yeah. So because everybody's talking about freedom, rights, fundamental human rights in the Obodo Igbo, or even in a place like Lagos, in MENA, it can be applied differently because you understand your people. Now, my advice to those people who probably have children, young people in the university who are keeping those things, to say, this is the new law now. We are trying to fish out the criminal element, and I will not want you to get into the crosshairs. Brother, cut this your hair.
Let me come to you.
Okay, so the first, when I saw the video, the first thing that came to my mind was like, first of all, I wanted to count the number of mics that were in front of him as he was talking. And I was like, if I was there, I would just remove that mic from there, because why are you talking about somebody's dreads? How does that affect, you know, we elected you there to make decisions. Come and tell us, we've constructed this road to this side, you know, we've built hospital in this place. I know how is dreadlock going to affect this thing. And then at the end of the day, he also said that if they catch you, they are going to fine you. And I'm wondering, is that a way of, you know, looking for revenue for the state? How much is the money? What are you going to use the money to do and all? So, but reading from this perspective now that they are trying to get people, they want to get people in this cult and everything. Now I can now understand why he made that law and all of that.
There was
the right course.
So this message I read about was from Usman Ebo Abdul. Usman Ebo, he's a special advisor to the governor, digital media and strategy. So it was him that I'm quoting that sent this context. Furthermore, let me just say another. I'll read the second paragraph. It says, despite repeated arrests, new members of this cult continue to emerge, creating a constant influx that undermines public safety. The government cannot afford to remain passive while the security of innocent citizens is at risk. Therefore, it is imperative to take firm and targeted action to restore peace and order to Mina. So, as BC has said, we understand the context. However, I'm still concerned
about innocent
people whose regular lives can be. I mean, even colleagues in schools can start bullying each other, just you that you have dreads, start pulling, you know, suspecting cult members within their own community. So we have to be very careful when somebody makes a directive, someone like that makes a directive that is not backed by law. It's something we have to be very, very careful about.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead, BC.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to say that while this is something that they can use in the short term, because he has come up with it and he feels, okay, this is one of the ways that we can catch these people and solve the issue of cultism in our state, it is not a long-term solution. It's not even a solution that will go past a couple of months, right? He should be more proactive to think of long-lasting solutions and not profiling people wrongly. Because we are going to keep having children. The children will keep going to schools. They will keep meeting people. They will keep finding ways of expression. Now that you have announced dreadlock, a cultist can choose to shave off the hair, wear suits. It doesn't change him from being a cultist. We hear now that native doctors carry laptop, wear suits, speak good English. You will not know that Queen's English. You will not know that person is a native doctor. So there's this proverb in one of our literature books. Since Aneke the bird since the hunter has learned how to shoot without stopping, Aneke the bird, we fly without perching. So they can change their modality to say, okay, they've spotted that. You know how we profile Yahoo boys? They always wear slides, wear stockings. Anyway, you see somebody wear slide and stocking, you just wear. So when my kids wear slide and stocking, I say, do you want to do Yahoo? Please, then we profile you like that. You know, a lot of them now don't wear socks and slides.
My own was a Bolu, my videographer. He was in the car with my driver and I think my PA. The three of them were in the vehicle. So they saw the vehicle, they saw the press. You know, he has his hair that is So they saw press, so they didn't allow them to pass. But the other police spotted there's a Yahoo boy there. Imagine. She stopped the vehial and told him to come down. They were like, no, it's press. I said, this one has a Yahoo feed.
Imagine.
So he was carrying a laptop. They said, dismantling, they're trying to rumple him up and get all his stuff. They took his laptop and they started seizing his stuff. They had to call me. So I had to tell them who I was and show that. And now, unfortunately, my ID card was not in the car. So I had to explain to them. But they didn't answer. They said they had to take this boy to the police station because he is a Yahoo boy.
A poor boy.
Just as a kid. He had a bit of the big pump on hair and had to.
So that's what's going to happen if they don't find more ways. What's going to happen to getting data of the people in your state? So everybody somewhat is registered. Everybody when you're going to carry your ID card, whether you're a student, those are some ways that you don't profile the wrong people. There are a lot of people who have been profiled as Yahoo that are not Yahoo. If a boy, you wear gold, they catch you on the road, they're gone.
Exactly.
So this is like an emotional reaction.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where I was going to go. So for the first wave of conversation, for me, it was an understanding of the context. I get it, and I get where he was coming from. But whether we like it or not, it was more a reaction to get his people excited. This is not the Constitution. We're not sitting there in your State House of Assembly and thinking, you know, we're not putting down laws, because it has to be constitutional. If you arrest somebody, especially arrest the wrong person, they will sue you. Do you understand? People that have influence and power. It's people that don't have power or influence that you can just pick off the streets and lock them up because they look like a certain group of people. The way to handle things like this, you have to go beyond profiling. So for me, I can understand the message saying, we are profiling this set of people. So parents, if you have children that are into doing yes, if they fit the profile, let them know that there's something that, you know, while investigating, police will look at. Maybe the first thing they look at is, you know, how you look. That's the different message. But to go on to solve this issue, it has to go beyond profiling. As BC mentioned, you know, it makes no sense, because as a criminal, why I'm a criminal is to, you know, there are benefits for my criminality. How I look does not affect what I'm trying to benefit. You know, change up your look and still be the criminal that you want to be. So for a lot of people, we know how young people especially are just influenced by what is trending. They don't quite get it. I know in America, they talk about black Americans sagging. And it's something that prisoners do, because they will give them uniforms that some may not really fit. And so they sag it so that it's a bit long. And black Americans, or the American, it has become like an American culture to show that you're cool. So the governor has to understand that there are people who are picking up trends, not because they are criminal, but because it's what's in fashion. And you end up maybe arresting the whole of the state because of that. So what he needs to do, and what the police there need to do, is go beyond this profiling. Proper investigation, find out where they stay, the sort of people that, you know, are likely to be in things like that, where they stay, the criminals themselves. We have, I'm so worried, truly, of especially how Nigerian police can be. So it's not that, oh, we profiled you, you look like this person, so we have taken you to question you. No, they start assaulting you sometimes, even before they ask you beyond how you look.
Let me go on a very short break. When I come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
So I not dey gree for anybody. When you dey find the husband, you not see sign say the guy smart, you don't vex, don't use signs.
If they look for person, we go give them to you. Fact as it be.
Men no dey ever get force. If baby not dey for her, na the woman.
Talk no dey be person, you make person no fit talk through inside. But for this country, we not say if we open court in the morning, waiting no good, no good.
Me and my sisters, hey, we go tanda gidigba for inside studio to give una all the latest information.
We no even take responsibility for the children. Leave the man.
And that's some period.
I'm Miriam Lunge. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amako Arakwe. I'm a corporate commercial lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Warhaka. I am Ramatu Shehu Oyibo, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
I am a polymath and a serial entrepreneur.
I am Murayo Afolabi Brown, Managing Director, TVC Entertainment. I'm a media consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
The ladies of Your View are made of women from different professions, tribes, cultures, and religion. Join us every Monday to Friday as we share our views on topical and social issues.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC.
Thanks for staying with us. So to join the conversation, you can call us at 021-634-352-013, 090-241-63440. Please send your messages on our Twitter and our X page, and also on YouTube. We'll be happy to hear your thoughts. Ramatu, you're going to say something.
Okay, so I was going to say that in as much as he's saying that they should, if they see anybody with dreads, I'm just wondering about people who they gave birth to that already have the dreads. What is he going to do? So as I can see, it's just going to be a temporary measure. They need to get more ways on how they can, get to the bottom of all of this. And also, what I'm seeing is, these Gen Z people, they don't read news. They don't read. So I'm wondering, people who are going to visit the states, what if they visit the states with their dreads and then they catch them and all of that? So I think they need to really sensitize. They should sensitize the youths on this thing and tell them what they are going to do.
We live in Lagos.
But if they really want to get these people, I think they need to get insiders, recruit these youths so that they can give them inside information amongst people that, these people, they are in cult, so do something about it and all. Because this dread stuff, I think, is really a temporary.
Also, I was going to say that we should also remember that we live in Lagos. Seeing people with dreadlocks might be very normal to us. But in a certain communities, it's like, okay, listen, they are the minorities of the minorities. Here, one in every 4 young people are probably wearing some kind of dress or some kind of funny-looking hairstyle. But it's probably easier to identify. So the community understands that, listen, this is not who we are. These cults have infuriated our culture, our people. We can tell them. We have to fish them out. So it might be easier to make that pronouncement because he knows that, listen, it's easy to get these guys out of our communities.
I know somebody from Kaduna State, a young boy from Kaduna State. In fact, when I even heard this, if not that I know this person personally, what the governor just described, there's this person. And it's something, but it's fashion for them. You see that bleached skin? I have spoken and talked to this person. This person is so bleached. My friend calls him unripe plant. I think half ripe, half unripe. And I've spoken to him about, I've spoken to him about the health consequences, He just does not get it. In fact, when he starts turning a little brown, give him a few weeks, the yellow will come back again with patches everywhere. Then the hair, dreads, and I've heard, I remember talking and someone was saying that it's really the in thing, especially in Kaduna State, that you see all these Kaduna boys.
May not be.
No. As I said, if I didn't know this person personally, maybe, but I know. And I know that for them, it's just really part of feeling among and feeling like, that they're cool. So that's why profiling for criminality will be difficult based on looks.
Paul, thanks for calling. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to everybody on set. People are looking very beautiful this morning.
Thank you. We need some volume. Can't hear you.
I am so surprised and very disturbed about the governor's statement or position. It's not how to go about it. I wish all of you there were in the advisory council with this governor.
Yes, because everything in the advising council
on this is what he should have done. He should have gone to do due diligence.
Okay.
He should have been advised properly before he came out with this statement. You cannot tell.
Mr. Paul. Okay, I was going to engage Mr. Paul to see if he understood the context in which the governor was speaking, because some people, as we've learned over the years, that people listen through the filters. They don't want to know what you're saying. They don't want to hear they don't want to listen to reason. Theirs is the moment you say it, their mind listens to that through their own understanding of where they are, their own experiences. So no matter what you say, people are not going to get the reason. So that is the Nigerian telling us that the man shouldn't have done what he did. Yeah, there are two sides of that story. Any other comments on social media?
We have Andrew says people like Sakori Mike has dreadlocks with laptop and you get him out.
No, let me read part of the letter that we got, which is it says, let's remain focused on the real issue and avoid distraction that shift attention from the governor's genuine efforts. So, and I find that many times, when there are genuine issues that we are discussing, either as a community or as a nation. Media, social media, non-traditional media tend to do this a lot. You pick what you think is sensational and you go with it. And then one thing, and then the next thing happens, the real issue that we're trying to, deal with. It's completely forgotten. And maybe someone mistakenly said something, mistakenly pronounced something, or made a gaffe, or maybe should have worded what they're saying differently. That now becomes the topic. That now becomes what it is that we're discussing. I think the main issue here in in Niger State, in Minna, what the governor is talking about, is the real issue. And I want and I wish, media would highlight that issue above, some of the above this sensationalizing the dreads and the looks. That can be, I'm happy to discuss that, but let's not lose focus of what is happening. There is widespread criminality, in Nigeria. And it's sad for me because I'm seeing many young people who could have been otherwise engaged, doing real work, good work, find themselves in groups like this. Cultism, we've just heard of the the young boy that was shot this, morning, we read from the papers he was shot on an anti-cult walk. It's a real issue. I want us to talk about that more. And let's encourage our boys and our girls, to concentrate on what would be beneficial to their lives and their future. Let's stop making everything just gist and vibe and things like that. Let's focus.
Let me take this call from Shola. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Shola. Go ahead, please.
Concerning the issue you guys are discussing now, I think the governor of Niger State is the chief security officer of the state. And the issue going on in Nigeria now, a lot of criminality happening now in Nigeria. Now, for that man to have profiled in such a way is not too bad, but I think the way he's doing it, I will say is bad. When I go through his house, the legislation to put those things in order. And secondly, to say something else, Morayo, you cannot have your son, just like Bisi said, you cannot have your son put on earrings, put on eyelashes, in party as a woman. It's an insult to moral life. It's a Gen Z time, Gen Z period. But we're using our Gen Z period or Gen Z time to destroy morality in the community. And now, because before we know, people start behaving anyhow, are taking a civilization. In our time, all those things doesn't happen. Yes, there are criminal elements those times, but now we have 100% of it in this country. And so if the man puts it that way, I think we should just allow him. And as a media people, you guys are saying, and drive this, you can drive this, all this, as if we are propagating a lot of things. And it's not according to moral life in our country.
Thank you very much, Shola. I'm sorry I didn't hear a lot of what you said in the studio. Maybe our producers heard you, or our viewers heard you at home. My sincere apology. I kept hearing my name, but I didn't hear what you said. There's another part I'd like to say from the press release from the special advisor. He said it is important to clarify that the government's actions are not directed at everyone who wears dreadlocks. So,
How
for
do
example,
they separate it? That's the problem.
The focus is specifically on members of the Oya cult who have been disrupting the community and endangering lives. Misunderstanding this intent only distracts from the real issue at hand.
But how do they also differentiate?
Exactly.
Because we know, we have been in this country now. At least we've crossed 40. Being in this
finally he's crossed 40.
Being on this being experiencing things, and we know how our security agencies can be overzealous.
Absolutely.
Number one, I don't believe they have proper investigative modalities. They are always in a hurry to name somebody, to present that we have caught the culprits without doing due diligence. And you can quote me anywhere. It's always, we don't catch them. They may not be the right people, but because there's no proper due diligence to ascertain whether they are the right people or not, they look a certain way, they resemble close to the right people, you pick them up, and it becomes a problem. We've seen a lot of people who are innocent, who have been arrested, who are languishing in jail because of, wrong profiling. And we're saying that, this one that you are making like a blanket statement, how do we differentiate that this person is Oya and this person is not Oya? Because you see the dreadlock, you see the bleaching, you pick this person, and then you're telling this person that you are Oya, and this person may not be Oya. How do you differentiate? We don't have those modalities. So that's what I'm saying. They have to go back to data. One, do they have data of people in the state? We need to think more and think better now. Looking at the fact that we're in 2025, things have to change. 2, does every adult in the state have an ID card? Whether you're a student, whether you're working, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a hunter, there should be a form of identification that you carry around. We understand that the times are rough. So you cannot just go out without carrying your ID card, whoever you are, whether you are a seamstress, they have associations, so that in case you pick somebody and they're saying this is where I am, you can call these people and verify. You have something to work towards. That's what they should ensure. Another one, do they have community policing? Do they have task force? They have young boys who are looking for things to do. Put them together and say, okay, this is causing a menace in the society. We are going to have you people look through the society. You speak the language. You can mingle with the young people your age. Find out what is going on. Let us clamp this thing before it becomes a serious menace in the society. Those are some of the things that they need to do so that they ensure they pick the right people.
Okay, I would like to assume that the government has done quite a bit, because they also said that they've had repeated arrests. Different people have been, we don't trust our Nigerian government. We always be as if they want that our government is not trustworthy. But in some cases, they actually do the work. In some cases, they actually investigate and they actually see a case to a fruitful conclusion. So we've seen that happen. But I also hear you. There's some cases where they are overzealous. But in that, let's assume they've ticked all the boxes and crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. But they are still not making a headway. So for him to make this emotional directions, because I'm tired. We've tried to arrest these people. We have done everything. It's not working. Now I've sent out the threats. Now it's now gone. The onus is now on the family. Say, uncle, I know you're not the culprit. Please stop breaching. Stop going and cut your hair. I don't want them to go and carry you, because that's the kind of drastic measures certain things require in certain communities, because our peculiar circumstances must provide certain decisions. I have to wrap up on this, but let me let you have the final.
Okay, so looking at this now, I'm just thinking of one of my cousins. His name is Tahir. I can just imagine telling Tahir that the government said don't. He's going to feel like they are ripping him of his youthful period, and when he's supposed to be doing all of these things, you people want to snatch it. He will say, Governor, JK Aikinka, go and do your work, do other things, be creative. Allow me to grow. Allow me do all these things. This is the only time I have to do all of these things, because by the time I get to a certain age, I'm not going to do all of these things anymore. So I'm just imagining Tahir is going to blow out like this, and
so we advise Mr. Governor to get more creative and see how he can get the job done without infringing on the rights of the average Nigerian who lives in the state.
The average dreadwear.
The average Nigerian who has dreadlocks, who has and who's bleached skin.
Yes.
Hey. All right, that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to our next topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Arrest him. It's taken very, very seriously.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
You've got the city at your fingertips.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyinbo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call a permanent solution.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crimes of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe it's achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless. Amadedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
I'm Nifemi Oguntoye, news anchor with TVC News.
My day is usually busy and it's difficult keeping up with breaking news stories, trending stories, business news, stock exchange and what have you. But with TVC News on WhatsApp, I'm able to catch up with all the breaking news, real-time updates and trending stories on the go, right on my phone, no matter where I am. It's quick, easy and always on. And here you can join us by scanning the QR code or using the link on our X and Instagram. Why wait? Come to the side of news that keeps you ahead. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Thanks for staying with us. So on our parenting discussion today, which is our focus today, we'll be discussing part of what happened with Obi Cubana's response to his adopted child. After that, we'll move into international parenting, and later on, a lighter note, we might touch on other things. But the focus right now is on raising children both locally and internationally. And before we even go that far, relating a bit to what happened with Obi Cubana. For those of you that don't have an idea what we're talking about, so Obi Cubana has an adopted son. But let me first of all put it in context. So the adopted son was going on a TikTok trend that says that I'm the next of kin. I'm the next of kin. So he was just joking about it. Well, in my own case, I felt he was joking about it. So he did that video. And then there was another picture where Obi Cubana himself put his own biological son and said, this is my next of kin. Now, people seeing those two videos now interpreted it that Obi Cubana was responding to his adopted son who had put out a TikTok trend saying that he's the next of kin. Now, we don't know if that's why he did that, but people are speculating. And this, again, is speculation. But people feel that because of that TikTok video, was it necessary for Obi Cubana to reiterate or to come out to clarify that his own biological is his own next of kin? Or was it necessary for the adopted son to presumably think that he is the next of kin? What are your thoughts on this? That's the conversation.
I saw it as an Agbaya moment. Yeah.
For the child?
No, for the adult. Yeah. A child can be a child, right? It doesn't mean that you have anything to prove. First of all, he was adopted. I didn't even know he had an adopted child. He adopted him as his child. So why is he not the first? I'm sure he adopted him before he had his own. You see the problem why people don't like to adopt in this part of the world? We find it difficult to accept other people's children as our own, even when you go and carry them when they were babies, when they were helpless. Another person could have adopted that child and take that child as my first child. That's the first child God gave to me. We've seen cases where someone adopts a child, maybe waited for like 10, 15 years without having children, and then adopts a child. And because that child comes into the house, after a few years, your womb opens and you have children. And then you start treating the first one as if the child is nothing. It's usually very painful to me. Even if in your mind you feel like, okay, this is really not my child, I adopted the child, do you have to come out on social media and put that picture and put next of kin? You just told us that you're not a good person. Because you went to bring that baby. You adopted. I didn't even know. If you did not mention or put up a post, I wouldn't have known there's an adopted child in his house.
Well, he didn't tell anybody he's adopted. He didn't say it.
Adoptive son. He did next of kin. Why are you putting another son's picture and your picture as next of kin? You have told us.
This is our interpretation.
No. It's not my interpretation.
The man did not say, please, my adopted son put this in there.
Morayo.
He didn't say that.
Allow me land.
Sorry, I want to ask, who told us he's adopted?
So while they posted, I think the blogs.
So okay, review to us.
Yes.
Okay.
No. See, even if the blogs did not reveal, I see a different son's picture saying adopt, I'm the next of kin. And I see the same father with another son saying, this is my next of kin. I'm not a fool now. We always assume that communication is about what you say.
Exactly.
What you do, how you act. Even in the things you have not said. If you study communication, it goes beyond just the spoken words. Your body can be communicating. What you have not said, your eyes can be communicating. Nobody's a fool. Yeah. So the agbayaness, how am I supposed to put it, of him posting that picture is where I have a problem. And it's where I see a lot of fault with people who adopt children. If you're not ready to accept this as my first child, don't adopt.
Let me come to you, Mariam, because this is a very loaded statement. Because it's always easier said than done. Because we all walk through these shoes differently. From the outside, we can say certain things. But from the inside, it could be something else totally different. But let me come to you. What are your thoughts?
I think we've had a conversation on adoption before. And to be honest, as a Nigerian, I don't know if adoption works the way adoption is meant to work, which is I've taken this child and this child is mine. As if it's mine, as if I gave birth to that child. There's just so many things that happen in Nigerian, that's in the Nigerian culture that makes me feel that this is, we're not really being honest about adoption. We are the ones that are very particular about firstborn child. The one that came out of your womb, the first fruit. We're the ones that put so much importance and emphasis on that position. To the point that we have heard of women trying different sort of ways to make sure that their child is the firstborn child in that family. And then you have adoption happens. And there's so many stories of you adopt a child and then after you start having your own children, you treat that child, you know, like they are unimportant. Almost to the point that you hate that adopted child. For me, I think Nigerians should just go with being foster parents. Understand that I may never be able to accept another child as mine. In fact, it's not even just the adoptive parents that have an issue. Sometimes you've adopted this child as your child. You are proud to have this child. Nobody else even knows or really pays attention that it's your adopted child. It's your family members that will tell the world, this child is not really their child. This one was adopted. You know, so maybe Nigerians should just look at it and think, I would rather be a foster parent to this child. And then when you decide to adopt and you have signed the papers, that child is legally yours. And you have to treat them like your child. Now, concerning this particular topic, I really feel quite disappointed, you know, not in Obui Kubana in particular, but adults that act this way. This is TikTok for God's sake. This is a trend for God's sake. Young people are always trending, and then you have your father, your own father, come out to almost, is this shade you? Do you understand? That your father will come out to shade you. It's what he did. This conversation could be had in the house. Nobody needs to know how Obi Cubana truly feels about that son or about what he did. And for me, because also of how Nigerians are, there's just so many options that could have happened. One, is it the Obi Cubana himself that made that post? Could it be that there's someone in the family that thought, before you know it, tomorrow they will say he's the one, let me put this post, you know? Could it be that the man himself did not even think anything of it, and then some people sat down with him and say, you know that you're such a billionaire and the world thinks so this of you, you need to be careful, you need to put it out there and protect your name and protect your own true next of kin. We have that. So, but he would have just handled this within the home. And he's your next of kin. Next of kin also does not mean that your child, that next of kin is the person that inherits your wealth. It doesn't even work that way. Next of kin is just to show that this is the closest person to me by family or relationship. Does not mean that that person is the one that would, I mean, if your will doesn't state it, your next of kin does not inherit your wealth.
Let me go on a very short break. I'll come back to you, Ramatu. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regular.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
My 20 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
Okay. That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert,
Thanks for staying with us. So on this segment, we can never stop discussing parenting as it is dear to our hearts as women. So join us on the show to continue the conversation with Obi Cubana and also the intricacies of raising children both locally and internationally is Dr. Pamela Udoka. She is a licensed clinical psychologist and also a relationship and marital therapist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What an honor.
Yes, we love women that come in pink hair.
I'm sure we are not many. Thank you so much.
There aren't a lot of you, but we're great to have you here.
Thank you.
So before you came in, we're discussing Obi Cubana, the fact that we didn't even know he had an adopted son. Nobody knew. And maybe the child is not even adopted. We don't even know because these are all people based on responses from the bloggers. So a young boy who allegedly is supposed to be his son came out to follow a trend, a TikTok trend that says next of kin. Then his father, Obi Cubana, posted another picture. He didn't say anything. He just posted my next of kin. Now, people began to interpret it in different ways. I started layering all sort of angles to this. Ramatu, let me come to you, your thoughts before I come to our guest.
Okay, so what I just wanted to say is that BC and my sisters here have really said a lot about it. But then, you know, in
BC
adoption in Islam.
BC and her sisters, the two of you.
The two of you are my sisters. Shut up. Okay, so in Islam, actually, you know, adoption is not really allowed like that, even though I don't have full information. But even when you adopt, right, when it comes to sharing of property, there's a way that they are going to share the property to that child.
Oh, wow.
They're not going to share it the same with the biological children. Whoa. So that way, it's a bit, you know, there won't be any conflict or anything in case of when the father goes and all of that. I think Obi Cubana just came out and said that immediately because of his wealth, number one, and then number two, he didn't say much. All he just said was next of kin.
But let us paint a few scenarios because we are all looking at this in one way. There's a possibility that you raise a child who maybe not your biological son, and maybe you've started observing some things in how he behaves. And I get this guy is being, maybe there's some kind of behavior that you feel that I need to let this guy understand. I have raised you well. Because for somebody to believe that he is the next of kin, you must have been raised properly equally to make you think that I am qualified to be a next of kin. So there was no preferential treatment in the home. You were raised well. Now, maybe it was important for a father to set the record straight because I treat all of you equal does not mean that you're all totally and completely equal. Yes, you're all equal. But there's a preference for this because that's his life. Because that's his life. So I'd like to hear your own view on this part. Do you think it was right for him to say that kind of thing? And next of kin doesn't mean inheritance. It just means somebody who you contact if anything happens to me. That's next of kin. It doesn't mean he's the one that.
The way Nigerians interpret it just means that you are going to inherit.
Let me hear your own thoughts on this.
Interesting. At least, first of all, I now know that Obi Cubana has an adopted son.
Okay. We
didn't know before. And then when you say adoption, Nigerians just believe that you have adopted this child and that's the end of it. But psychologically, is that child balanced? Maria said something that maybe the child was raised well at home. Yes, raising well. But with this issue now, that child might not develop identity issues. What am I in this house? Might develop attachment issues. Am I really a part of this family? Do you understand? And of course, there's now a self-esteem issue. How will his friends look at him now? We are not really a Cubana. You understand? We might all think it's a joke, it's social media, but that child, everything boils back now to how that child is managed after this. And then, Obi Cubana is an Igbo man. And next of kin to them might be somebody who inherits his wealth. So that statement is, please, shift stand well, know your lane. All animals in my house are equal, but this one is more equal than another. You understand? So that's it. Also brings us to the fact.
Let me stay with you on that. Okay. It's because I feel like Nigerians are very hypocritical in our country, and we are two-sided. You see, the truth is that the reality is, yes, you can give your all to somebody. In the West, for example, from the way they are born, you are adopted. We went to Japan to bring you. We were a black family, but we adopted you. Know your stance. You can even, at the age of 21 or 18, say, I want to go and look for my biological parents. But your identity is clear. But in this part of the world, we try to mask it and don't let it know because in our own mind, we are protecting the child. But is that not also a fault of the system? I remember growing up, my half-sister, it was a taboo to refer to her as my half-sister. It was as if, no, it's your sister, how can you say that? If you mistakenly say, oh, my half-sister, I'm going to my stepmother's house, it was as if you just said the worst thing.
Yeah.
When I now grew up, she's my half-sister. And we're cool, and it's fine. But nobody raised me with that identity. So we have this false expectation. If you're my half-sister,
on the outside.
So if you're my half-sister, there's certain things my mother would give to me that you might not have privilege of having because you're my half-sister, period. But we try to raise a child like, oh, you are part of the family, your mother should be equal to everybody. It's not that's not reality. That's why I say the hypocrisy in it affects me sometimes.
Okay, can I say something also about adoption, how it is taken and perceived in Nigeria versus how we see it legally? In Nigeria, sometimes you don't really adopt, which is legal adoption. You bring in someone into your home and you decide to raise that person just like you raise your children. And how do I mean? Raising your children, meaning you provide everything materially for that child. You may not be that emotionally connected to that child. So you can have Nigeria. So with Nigeria, if someone says an adopted child, be careful. It may not be legal adoption. It may not be that I've legally adopted and this person is my blood now, So if that's the case, then I see why he would want to separate it. But separating it still on social media, for me, that was a no-no. I would have even preferred, if he was even trying to join the trend, bring all his children together and now write next of kin. All of them with him.
With S.
And then now discuss the intricacies of the next of kin. Whether you are, properly, you are going to be the one that will inherit or not at home. I like what you said where you said he would now have issues. Self-esteem issues is important. It's such a huge topic, especially for a growing child, that particular age. You have presented yourself amongst your peers as somebody, attached to somebody. And then that person that you have attached yourself
denies you,
comes to the public and denies you. He may not show anything to them physically today, but they have sown a seed.
But that man did not deny him. Let me come to you. He did not deny him. He just put a picture, says next of kin. He didn't. One of tomorrow, he put a picture of another child and says next of kin.
He didn't carry a placard that says I deny you. But that sentence is denial. Loaded.
It's denial.
It's denial. It's very subtle, but it's there. It will affect that child. No matter how we want to glamorize it on social media, it will affect the child. In other words, I'm in this family, but my birth position is blurry. Now I know. So I have to maintain my
It's very short. Let me add. Do you know there are some people who come, they are in your house, they are like your cousins and things like that. And then when they go out, they say, our father's house. Even they already know that they are not your biological. But even when you come out and say, no, this one is not is my cousin, you already make them feel like, oh, okay, so you don't love me the way that I love you.
That's why I keep saying the hypocrisy. Why don't we break it down, let people know where you start from the beginning?
And
you accept it.
No, listen, we have a culture here. Most of these things, we are borrowing them. And even though we borrow, we still infuse our culture one way or the other. And that's why we sit here every morning to have conversations on how we can become better people. Now we're now listening and hearing that, okay, if I adopt, it's not a bad thing to actually tell this child at a certain age that you were adopted if you want to go through that route, right? But even before you start telling the child you were adopted, your family members who are not privy to all this sort of information or who don't care will always whisper you are not our blood. Most of these children know already that you are not, I'm not your blood, even before you open your mouth to say it, right? Because their family members watch dogs who are there, watch you, making sure that our inheritance stays within the confines of our blood. Exactly.
They are mothers.
I'm telling you, mothers, eyeing them. Why are you people playing together like that? You have that space. We have them already. But we're saying that, for me, I believe that when it comes to adoption, right? Because you are taking, depending on the age that you take the child, you are taking this child, a vulnerable child who will look up to you. There was a video I saw yesterday where all these Oyibo people, they will post, when they say the daddy is coming, babies, they will throw away their food, daddy! I sat down and it dropped on me like, the role of a father in every child's life is very pivotal. Now, what is most painful is when the father now becomes the predator. See how these kids will drop everything they have. Daddy! Even with their diaper, they will drop it, daddy! When that person who is supposed to give you that security and that nurture becomes a predator, it damages the child for the rest of the child's life. You know, it just came to me. And I'm saying that you have brought this child in, maybe at 6 months or 2 years, the child knows nobody but you. And why we don't open our mouth to say you are adopted is that it changes something in the child's psyche. Because children are innocent. You play with the other children, assume that we are all the same. This is our daddy. This is my dad. Let me give you a typical example. So when I came to Lagos to stay with my mom and my stepfather, because my parents were separated, I had an altercation with my younger sister, who is my half-sister, in her father's house. I was this one that came, you know. And there was something that man did that made me respect him. We're dragging room. So one of the eldest had married and left the house. So the room was supposed to be the next person according to age, because we're mostly girls in the house. And it was my turn to move into the room. And this my younger Itu-Sabi sister, I'll call her name Bimbo, we're very close now, said no, that she was going to share the room with me. I said no. When the elder sister was here, she had that room. That's like the finest room, girls' room. She had that room to herself. So it's my turn to have that room to myself. I was not this man. The man was sitting in the parlor with my mom when we were having this altercation. He did not say a word. He did not say, oh yeah, it's not your house. It's not your... I had that room. And you know the respect I gave to this man till he died, because he made me feel like you are my child. You are under my roof. You are my child. I'm not saying you should have shared his property to me, but he shouldn't call me out to tell me I'm not sharing my property to you because I'm not... Yes, because I am not your father. He can share the property without anybody's knowledge. When he passes, you just hear they did not call your name, and that's fine. But the fact that he allowed me in his house to claim that this is my right, and he allowed it as all of you are going, all of you are children, it gave me a form of confidence and self-esteem. Not to talk of something as big as next of kin.
I get that, and I really hope you can understand where I'm coming from. It's important for us to push this issue of full disclosure. You knew where you stood when that happened. You knew you're coming from outside. No, but you know, you're aware.
Yes. I was a teenager. I was
aware of your position. Yes. So a lot of people are raised to think they are part of the family. Before family members tell you, whisper in your ears that you're not our blood.
Wait, I was
That's
aware.
a problem.
Can I add something? I was aware, but I was a teenager. So if I was that aware, I won't do that fight now, because I already know it's not my house. Or what do you think?
The fact that you knew that was not your house. The fact that you knew that you were a visitor. The fact that you knew that that man was not your biological father is enough information to work on. Because you were aware of the information, you could now try to demand for your rights based
it wasn't
on
my
your
right
age.
as far as I'm concerned.
You are trying to demand for it.
No.
Okay, you know how the fact that nobody said, or he didn't say, don't go there, meant that he too accepted the fact that you were the daughter. If you were intimidated, or if you didn't have the information, you would have cowed that, you would have taken over.
Okay, so
I think is you had confidence in the fact that you were seen as a child in the house. Even though you were aware of everything, but you had confidence that I would be treated as my siblings. That was it. The confidence in knowing that you are loved and you are accepted. That was what happened.
But
if you're not accepted,
Ramatu, jump in here. Go ahead, Ramatu.
Okay. Yeah, so I think what I basically think is, let's we adults be prepared. If you know you are going to adopt, you should be fully prepared for it. For example, some years back, I actually wanted to adopt because I had two girls. I have two girls and a boy, and I felt I wanted another boy to pair up with my son. So I sat down deeply. I went to an orphanage in Kaduna there. I saw the boy, handsome, everything, and I was like, let me go ahead and do this. Discussed with my husband. My husband was like, oh, that's fine if you want to do that, because I wanted to just give back. You know, I'm so grateful. You know, I was like, let me just do this. At some point, I sat down and thought deeply inside me, and I was like, look, am I going to treat him fairly? Will I be, will I treat them equally with my kids and all? Will they go to the same school as my child and all of that? I asked myself a million times. At the point, I now decided that no, I don't think I'll be able to do it, and I don't want to be in that kind of situation. And I left it.
Interesting. I left. Okay, now let me paint this, and I want us to look at this from a different scenario. Because I'm hearing somebody just sent a message that there's a possibility that he didn't officially adopt this child, that his parents had passed on, and he took this child in as a son. Somebody just said that here. His parents died and he took him in. Now, is it possible? Is it possible? I take you in as my son. I give you everything because and I raise you equally. If I didn't raise you equally, there's no way you have confidence to go on TikTok and call yourself next of the king. I must have treated you. I must have treated you just like my other kids.
King of England.
Now I do that. Is there a possibility that I as a parent, I am noticing that this boy is behaving to be overzealous in certain areas, thinking that because he's the oldest, he's somewhat taking advantage of this.
Can I put a spanner in that your analysis? Let's say you have adopted a child, and as the children are growing, the adopted child is showing behaving better, showing promise. Your own child, because they believe I am the next of kin, I'm the one that is meant to start misbehaving.
That sounds so like Hollywood and Nollywood.
No, that's real life. That's even more real than anything.
That's the expected scenario where this child is supposed to be now the good boy and the one the biological. I'll let you come in here.
Okay.
Usually when we watch movies, the adopted one is the one that is such a good boy. The biological ones are the tyrants. We get that. I'm flipping that. I'm flipping it. I'm saying the adopted one might not be the good one, such that you have to put him in check. That bros. Let me remind you, you're not my name. I'm not saying that's what Obi Kubana is saying. I'm just saying that let us look at it from different perspectives.
No,
different ways
so that's panel. Sorry, that's panel. If you can just, that's panel that I said I put in. How would you, if you're saying to put a check so that this adopted child understands his place, how do you put a check on your child? If you were to be the one that now, the biological child, what would you do?
Yeah. Your own
sorry,
child.
ma'am. How would you handle that?
No.
Maybe.
Let me
now I have to go on a break. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I have to come back. I'll be right back.
Oh, God.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this matter. Yes, go ahead. You're going to say something for the break.
Yeah, I said, first of all, how they were brought up at home. Did the boy know he was adopted? Did he know he lost his parents before coming to the house? If he knew that he was adopted, if Obi Kuban had, given that information, or maybe he and his wife had shared information, and the boy knew, there are certain things he will not expect. But if they were all brought up equally, you are all my sons, you are older than this one, you are older than this one. So they will believe that according to their birth positions, these are certain entitlements. Okay? So him going to go and now claim next of kin and it being corrected. Play. So if he needed to correct it, he would have either played along or go back home and say, remember the information.
Yeah.
So can I just add a little? Is it possible that, how Bishop always says that Nigerians are wicked people?
We are.
This boy could have put out that thing, and maybe he wasn't even referring to Obi Kubana.
It's possible.
Maybe he's referring to his own parents.
It was a trend.
Like there is a trend.
Yeah.
Maybe he was not even referring in any way to the Cubana family.
Yeah.
He's just focusing on, oh, I just found out I'm the next of kin of my dead parents who just maybe bequeathed something to me. We don't know.
Yeah.
But because of the wickedness of our nature, we have started assuming and extracting also things that shouldn't have played out because we are the ones destroying that boy, not to be Cubana.
Oh, hey,
nice.
Can I ask the question? Yes. When he put
questions today, go ahead.
When he put that video out on TikTok, all he said was, "I'm next of kin."
Yes.
When did we start talking about it?
When
the father
replied.
With the right next of kin.
Yeah.
So who is the wicked person here?
Thank you. Because if he had not responded publicly,
what if he was also doing
the trend? No, listen.
We're doing his own too. So why was he dancing?
The trend would have just gone as a normal trend. Different boys, different people will pick up the trend.
Or if he too, and he goes, say he too is next of kin.
Yes. So the thing for me is, you know how young men brag, bragging rights. You know, I'm from so and so family. That's my dad, or that's my this, and that could be what he was just doing with the trend. It may not even mean anything to him. You know, I always tell people when I tell my children, I say, this house is not your house. You are a visitor here. You will leave and go. You cannot come and collect the house that I worked for and suffered for in the name of inheritance. You will go and build your own, except I am no more. I cannot be here, you are coming to inherit anything. It's not going to work. I am first in line. I tell my children, I say, you are on rent. I will soon kick you. People will soon start paying rent in this house. I will soon kick you out. Yeah, we can't wait to leave you, mommy. We can't even wait to go. This is your house. Please take this your house, you know. I always tell them that. So there's ways that we can check our children from entitlement. When you're constantly demanding for things and you don't feel that you have to put in the work for it, I check you. This thing I'm giving you is a gift, though. There are many people who you are not better than that don't have this opportunity. This opportunity, use it well. There are several ways we can check these children. But when they come, if I see my let's take, for instance, I used to have a help that would post my house on social media and brag. Yes, as a house. She will post my money. Or she will spread the cash, because I always carry notes in my bag. She will spread the cash, post and brag. I did not kill her. I did not go there to post another one that is my money, or it's my house.
Let me read this comment from
I will chastise her at home.
Abigail said this. She said, have you considered how it affected the real next of kin, who is Obi's real son? What if it's just an inside joke? Because Obi responded with a smiling icon.
Okay,
that's another angle.
That's another angle. But you know, based on what you said about was it communicated to this child that he was adopted? Let's say it was very clear to the child, knowing that I was brought to this house. I am not a biological child. I've just been brought in to be taken care of. Are we saying that a child like that cannot make a joke like that? See, if he had gone to a bank or he had gone to a company and he has signed as next of kin, I feel that this conversation will be different. That is almost fraud. But if someone is doing a TikTok challenge, are we saying that because we know your place in this family, you're not allowed to have to even play this sort of play? And responding to Abigail, how would he have felt if it's already understood in the house that he's just one of us? You know, he's adopted or we have brought him in. If that understanding is there, that boy would feel confident in knowing that that's my cousin that likes to play, because he already knows his place. He will not be in any way confused or in competition because he knows his place. He does not need... See, there's many wealthy people. Their children don't need to come on TV and be telling you, I'm Dangote's child, I am Otedola's child. They don't need to tell you. They know. In fact, they will allow you, those of you that need to say it, claim it. The day of reckoning, when we are sitting there reading our father's will, when they are sharing inheritance, we know who is who. So that person won't have any...
Because we can't only talk about Obi. We have a Dr. Pamela.
Okay, yes.
So let me take this call. Choma, thanks for calling. You're live. Hello, Choma, you there? Hello, Choma. Okay, I think we lost that call. Let me come to you, Dr. Pamela, because it's important that after we've discussed Cubana and all that, it's still important for us to know how to raise children in this kind of environment. If you adopt a child, how you raise children such that there's this equal emotional balance amongst them. What would you advise parents who are adopted? Because today we have lots of children, people who are really engaged in adoption. What's the best way to raise them? Should we do full disclosure from the beginning or hide it and never mention it at all?
You see, I always say this. When a child can speak, when a child can understand what you say, I'm talking about developmental stages, tell that child in simple terms what the child needs to understand. Stumbling on documents when you are much older, saying that you are adopted, is devastating. But if the child knows, if the child understands his or her place or the birth situation, even when the child goes out and you say, oh, you are adopted. Oh, I know. My daddy told me or my mom told me. You have prepared that child. You have given that child an internal defense.
To face the world.
Yes, but if you just leave the child to just float around and then maybe they are looking for one document and you just say, and adopted in 1991 orphanage. No, now. Yeah. So parents disclose at the appropriate time when the child can understand what you're saying. That does not mean you treat the child less than your other children if you now, God has not blessed you with more. But know that you are adopted, but you are still older than this person, you are still older than this person.
Okay, let's talk about parenting for a second, because we saw you with the pink hair and we're thinking, I think one of the ladies were saying, if our children come in today, a teenage, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and wants to do a pink hair because, hey, and Dr. Pamela has a pink hair and kids, I mean, we want to be trendy, we want to be modern parents, but at the same time, there's a part of us that say, my daughter was telling me the other day that, Mommy, I want to paint my nails, and I'm thinking to myself, no, 16. I'm like, no, everybody is not you. I know it's okay, it's not a crime, but for me, I just feel like you should wait till 16, period. And of course, you're squeezing her face, I didn't care, but I'm being seen as, well, it's too much now. It's just pink hair. I mean, how do you raise children in this modern...
Okay, first, I'm so glad you brought this up. It gives me so much joy. First of all, I turned 60.
Whoa! Oh, wow! Oh, my goodness.
I am 60 years old.
You're living your life.
Yeah. So,
I would have never guessed.
So, a child who is a teenager or younger than a teenager wanting to do what adults do, it stems also from communication. You discuss with that child. You have not reached the age to take this kind of decision. You cannot do this at this age. The child will ask why. You now explain. It now when we want to talk about the parenting proper, I will lay the foundation of parenting styles.
Please,
tell us. Go ahead, please.
You know,
we're interested.
We're interested. I want to learn. We are all parents here.
Yeah. Theoretically, there are parenting styles, internationally accepted, globally practiced. Yes. We have the authoritarian parenting style, where you tell the child, you cannot do this and that.
Never.
I'm your mom. I've told you, you cannot tint your hair. You cannot color it pink. Bye.
That's what I did. You can't paint in this period.
That's authoritarian.
It depends on the age, right?
Yeah. No, at any age, you discuss with that child.
Can I give you why I said that? So my stepson, he had finally graduated university, you know, just...
Everybody has
So going off to, you know, just now looking for work and trying to find his way around. Then he comes to visit one day and he had platinum colored hair and everything. The father did not say, oh, yeah. He said, I see you're not hoping to work with anybody. That's all he said. This boy has black hair now and he's a born-again Christian.
I see you're not hoping to work
with anyone. Yeah, and that was all he said. So he let him, maybe he figured out life. Where he goes to give CV somewhere, maybe they say, with this hair, okay, thank you very much, you know. And he's figured himself out.
That's it. That was authoritative. Authoritative. Authoritative means that the child says, I want to do this, or comes up with this, and you discuss. Oh, I'm not saying not do it, but this is the reason why you should not be doing it.
What are the levels of parenting? That is democratic.
It's more democratic. It's authoritative, different from authoritarian. The one that daddy is coming back, you hear the car horn, everybody disappears. Go to your room. Yeah, we did all that. The TV is on, you switch it off. Okay? Now, the permissive one, he won't say anything about the hair. You come, oh, you want to color your hair green?
Go ahead.
You want to pierce your nails?
Anything you want.
You want to come back home at 12 midnight at 13 years?
It's okay.
That's permissive. Okay? So the best parenting style...
I said that's not parenting.
Yeah, it's part of it. Some parents
don't want to be liked.
Yes.
So because you want to be liked, you then you give them a lot of this and, oh, you have this and the pocket money, allow them.
You have to give them excess. No control. no control. You know, you give a child pocket money, you don't have any feedback on how the money is spent. You don't control. That's being permissive. But when you are authoritative, you can discuss with that child.
Democratic.
Yes, democratic, if you will. When the child comes up with any issues, they will feel drawn that if I go and discuss with mommy or with daddy, they will guide me or they understand where I'm coming from.
So I had my daughter come to me that she wants to dye her hair. So she's seen my pictures all. I dyed my hair from university, different colors, wine, gold. Even in my wigs, you see, I love colors. And she said she wanted to dye her hair. And I said, you're turning 16 this month and you're finishing secondary school. So wait till you finish secondary school, then get into IB. When you're doing IB, you can color your hair. And I asked, are you coloring everything from top to bottom? She said she would love to. She sent me pictures she wanted. I said, why don't you start from the tip? Because you are getting into an industry that I don't know if it's going to be like a serious industry or it's going to be like this creative industry. If it's creative, not a problem. If you are going to focus on maybe all this medicine and all of that, then you can rethink. So we had that conversation. Okay, mommy, I'll start with half of it, the tip. I said, okay, just enjoy it at that time. The nails thing, I found a way to make them look forward to it. So I said, why don't you wait to a certain age? Okay, you know what? Because you like the nails so much, and I'm a colorful person, I do my nails and everything. When we are on long holiday and we're going on vacation, we will all paint our nails. But we know that when we come back, school, seriousness, we take it off. So even my son, the last holiday we had, he tinted his hair gold. Yes, his father took him. He said, because it's holiday, he said, Mom, if I get my grades, if I'm A+ and everything, can I tint my hair? I said, just give me that good result. And that's what happened. He tinted his hair. We traveled. When we came back, going to school, mololo, everything back to normal. In fact, his father wanted to tint his hair. And when he came back home, he had his black hair. I said, you didn't tint again? He said, please, I don't have energy for profiling at the airport. Before they start accusing me of being a Yahoo man at the airport, let me just carry my black hair. My son can see it's not a problem, you know. So we find a way to have those conversations. And I try to post it for them. So you're looking forward to when I get to a certain age, I can now be able to do this. When I get to, you may get to that age and you don't even like it anymore. So I allow you, instead of just saying blanket no. Because growing up, when I was told blanket no, I have to
find ways to do it.
Once I hear no, I have to do that thing. So you don't tell me no, you converse with me.
So I think So I think the conversation is very, very important. Like my daughter, when she came for the Easter break and she was going back to school, she now asked me, Mommy, can I go with my phone? And I sat down because all her friends have their phones with them in school. I sat down and I was like, how do you? Because they'll just go, they will keep it with the house mistress there in school and all of that. But then I sat down and I was just thinking, I was like, no, but me, I actually said that when she's done with school, that's when she's going to have her phone. And now, at some point, I gave it to her later, and I came back and I said, no, you can't have your phone, I'm sorry. It's just remaining how many months? You have just how many months? Finish up. Once you finish up,
your phone is there.
I'll give you your phone, and I'll never touch your phone, because usually by 8, you come and drop the phone. But this time around, I'm not going to collect the phone.
You have to bring, time has run out of time. You have to bring it back, because this phone matter is a serious matter. Because sometimes I get really scared of what's on social media. I mean, it was my nieces that came recently that told me that I could put some parental control on YouTube, and I didn't know. I was a very foolish parent. They threw away. I mean, they had their own pages. They had the 10-year-old restrictions. I had that. But they were always on my own page. They don't look at their own 7-year-old. They don't look at that. It's my own page. They always watch it. They're watching some movies. Until she told me, why are they watching Chucky? And I'm wondering, it's my page. I said, no, Chucky's 18+. You should put a code. I said, I can. And they don't put the code for me. They know they shouldn't be on your profile. They're forced to watch. Now I've increased their own profile to, like, you know what? I didn't know that. I was one of those parents that I was somewhat permissive. You know? So we need to bring you back to help us. But let me just let you wrap up. Your own submission. What's the best approach to raise children in this new world?
Dispensation.
The best approach is authoritative parenting.
Not authoritarian.
Authoritarian is different. Authoritarian is different
from
when you hear the Rian, it is
Rian.
hammer. Authoritarian. I'm the authority here. What I say stands. You don't shift ground. Your children say something, you don't even listen. That's authoritarian. Yes.
Authoritative.
Also affects them when they take these children outside the country.
Yes.
Okay. But when you are practicing authoritative parenting, you, like Boraya said, democracy. Maybe we can now associate it democracy, you know, authoritative. So we can now.
They know you're the authority in the house.
Yes, but you give them opportunities to tell you things. You discuss, you hear their perspective about things.
That's
and
still authoritative.
Yes, authoritative. Authoritarian is when you listen to them.
So then,
I like
different
that.
from democratic.
Democratic.
You know, it's a mixture of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to associate the word so you can remember the authoritative is one that you discuss and agree. Like before I tinted my head, my children were like, "Mommy, go ahead." I had low cut.
Ah, so they are democratic children.
Yeah, my husband now said, which color are we doing?
It's a democratic setting.
Discussed it, okay? And everybody agreed, and this is how I am now.
You
had to ask
we have to
permission.
bring you back again.
Oh,
Yes,
that would be an honor. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun.
That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Authoritarian all the way.